Welcome to Louisiana Heartbeats. I'm City Landry, your host, and with me today I have a close friend and author. I consider her as a close friend. If you know Deborah, you get to know her, you think she's a close friend. You may not see her but once every 5 years, but it's wonderful. She is the author. She's a fantastic storyteller. She has many adventures. She's well known in our Lafayette area, and so we have her on the show today, but I love what she describes herself. Deborah LeBlanc is telling everybody she's a storyteller, but she has actually created stories around the paranormal, facts. She's involved in different agencies, and so I'm going to save that part for the rest of the story. But right now, welcome to the show, Deborah.
You, it's
Deborah.
great to be here.
I met Deborah, and I'm so glad that you were able to take out of your busy schedule to come on today. I met Deborah going on almost 6 years ago. I was kind of like, she was the outgoing president of the Writers Guild, and I know now why. She has so many different things going on, and she was sharing with us the different things. I got to know you a little bit then, and so she's published several books. And so what's going on is that when I want to ask this question. When you were growing up, did you know if you wanted to be an author? Did you have the idea, I am going to write books
Not
and
at
be
all.
an author? Okay.
I wanted to be Superman. I thought about being a nun, a teacher, anything but an author. I never even considered it. And reading was my passion. I read everything I could put my hands on. But being a writer never crossed my mind.
Well, considering that you really never planned on being a writer, you know, that seems to be a lot of our stories. And you classify yourself as a storyteller who happens to write your stories on paper. And you know, it's amazing because before I met you, I would say, I just like telling good stories. I'm not really a writer. So when I met you those years ago, I'm like, wow, we have something in common. But I have discovered that we have a lot in common, like wonderful grandmothers who
yes.
inspired us, who told us great stories. And for the people out there that are watching the show, you know, the fact that you're involved in so many real fact situations and you incorporate that into your stories. I at one time was honored and blessed to be able to have purchased all of your books at a seminar you did for us, a workshop.
Yes.
And I couldn't put them down, and then I was amazed at the different types of writing that you did and how you come back. And so I enjoyed your books, and I never got to tell you. So several years later, I'm telling you, I enjoyed your book. Well, let's go ahead and let's look at that first book that's up there. We're going to share books, Acadiana, that she actually has written. She's written many before that. So let's go to the first picture and let Deborah tell you what this is about. Voices. Why? Why did you name it Voices?
Voices actually occurred, it was actually first entitled Ghost Box. One of the things that we use in paranormal investigations it was originally called Frank's Box. It was put together by Frank Sumter. In fact, I own one of Frank's original boxes. And the whole purpose of a ghost box is that it scans AM and FM radio stations so that all you're getting is static. And the idea is that if there is a spirit present, that it's able to use those frequencies in order to transmit words to those who are asking questions. Well, the whole thing is not so much the box, it's the voices that come through that box.
Okay, switch back to the widescreen because I want to bring up something. Now that she's given you an idea of just that little comment, Deborah is a paranormal investigator. She's a forensic specialist. She herself has many stories, true stories, all true stories, and she's intertwined this into creating her fiction, paranormal stories is all. How would you describe your books, Deborah? What category, what genre?
Probably paranormal suspense, paranormal thriller.
Okay. So that's why I didn't bring that up, because we're going to spin off into the future television shows that are going to be really worked around this. So let's go back to that book and go to the second one, maybe?
Okay.
Okay, guys. Switching to the there we go. Switching to the second book. Okay. Toe to toe. What's that about? Give us a little idea. It kind of looks like...
Toe to toe, it is. It is feet on a morgue table. And of course, all of them have toe tags. But this is the first of an 8-book series, the Noni Broussard novel. think Stephanie Plum meets Ghost Adventurers.
Okay.
She is the daughter of a funeral home owner, and she gets recruited to do paranormal investigations. And she's with a motley crew. They call themselves the Boo Crew, Krewe.
Okay, yeah.
And they have to scout different locations in southern Louisiana for a broadcasting company that's at New Orleans. If they find one that they can collect enough evidence to send a film crew out, each scout member gets $1,000. Well, Noni's motivated because of the cash.
Well, of course.
And, but you're talking about Misfit Bumble. It's a paranormal comedy.
Okay, so that is like a little tidbit of the second book that's up there. My question is this. What inspired you to write that book? Why did you decide to write that book and name it that title?
Well, I thought of, I just wanted something different. Paranormal is always taken so seriously, but really when you do paranormal investigations, there's so many comical moments involved, and I have been involved with many investigation groups that like bumbling idiots. So they run into each other, they're scared at every shadow, everything is a demon, and that's not the case. So I wanted to do the lighter side of it and really bring out the blend of funeral service, which I know,
Right.
Because I worked in funeral service for a number of years, and just bringing this clash of people who really don't know what they're doing into a location. But you see, Noni is a closet medium.
Okay, got you. So you're giving a little information, and with that said, Deborah, I'm sitting here and I'm smiling because of the fact that I'm on the other end of this. It's all true stories, and my stories are all about paranormal of the godly kind. I get in these situations, and some of those demons, as we call them demons and the evil spirits, but I'm not afraid because I laugh at some of the things I see on television. I'm saying, come on, God, let them really see a ghost. I bet if they really see one, they're going to not joke around like this anymore. And so finally, but I understand from you that you have so many facts because you've experienced that. You know what you're saying is true, and I'm like, you know what, Katie Anna, there's people that's not going to believe the way I believe, not going to believe what I've seen, but too bad. I'm going to stick to my story, and that's it, and I know you are too.
Right.
But in your case, you intertwine so much more. You actually create suspense, and yet you use facts and fiction, where with my little stories is what happened to me and how I got out of it and what I learned from it, and don't you go do it, stuff like that.
Yeah.
And grandmother always said this and all that. It's real. Lots of these things are real, and people play around with it too much.
Yes.
So it would take someone special like you to be on a crew of paranormal investigators, whatever you want to call it, and you could handle that because you're not scared. And so, that's the whole point. You're not trying to make stuff up. You're really there to see if it's really there, right?
True.
So people call on you for special reasons and whatever, and we will be talking more about that in your new television series, which will be our second show that will be coming up after this on the next season. So with that said and all that, what is your central message in your book when you write these books? Is it just to create the suspense, or is it to just share the fact, or is it just having fun, Deborah? It sounds like you.
Well, with the Noni series, it's definitely about having fun.
Okay.
And that really is just sharing a lighter part of life with the unknown, mixed with the unknown. Everyone sees it, a lot of these paranormal shows, let's face it, they put makeup on it.
Scripted.
Yes.
Big time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I really want to show behind the scenes, which most of the time is very comical.
Right.
And that was my whole purpose, is to lighten life.
Well, anyone that comes in contact with you will learn that real fast, that what you say.
Yeah.
What you mean. But I am so proud of you. She's cleaned up her language just for this show. Remember? We used to pick at Deborah all the time because she had to remember where she was. But she's hilarious when it comes to doing workshops. And that was at that workshop that you had that box, and we were supposed to be there for an ebook series and that also, and you got into that area which is what you were presenting, and we were just really still talking about it, Deborah. In fact, they want to do another one. They actually want to do another one, so we'll see what we can work out maybe in one of those little towns
Wonderful.
that I was telling you about. Well, I remember reading somewhere on here, you answered a question. If someone said, well, what are you? You know, how would you classify yourself? I still haven't figured it out yet, but I like what do you call yourself? Or when people ask you, who are you? What do you do? What are you involved in? Is that where you made that name up, you said?
The storyteller?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I mean, if people ask, what do you do for a living? I just kind of roll my eyes. I mean, I do own a regular business.
Right.
And I am a paranormal investigator. I do write stories. I'm a storyteller. Author sounds kind of stiff to me.
I know, and I love the way you put it. And you had made up a name. How do you pronounce that name you made up that describes you? It's a word I made up because I really didn't know what to call myself. That's what you said.
Oh, for clairsentium.
Okay, and that's a combination of people wanting to call you what? Clairvoyant, medium, and what,
Yes.
psychic and all this?
Yes.
Well, you really, whether you realize it or not, with that one word, I had to laugh and laugh because I'm always saying, okay, guys, I'm not a clairvoyant, I'm not a medium, I'm not a psychic, but what I am, in my case, I just choose the faith terminology, which is discerning of what is of God, what is not of God, what is good, what is bad. I'm not going to tell you, do-da, this is what's going to happen. If I know, I'm going to pray for you, and you're not going to know about it, So different people have so many talents, Deborah, but they don't always follow through like with you. You were inspired by your grandmother and the story she told.
Yes.
I later on, same thing happened with me, did not realize that her storytelling was really being passed on to me, but I took it further and became a writer to learn, discover that she had unwritten stories that she had never published. So it's amazing how we do have that through the family tree. Well, let's go on to the next book then, and let's discuss that a little bit. We discussed voices and toe-to-toe, so let's see what this one's about coming up. What is that, Deborah?
That is an ungodly book.
Okay, that is a different spin. Go ahead, it's your show, go ahead.
I'm writing under a pen name, R.H. Masters, because this is the first of a 26-book series.
Wow, that's right.
It's going, as you know, was it Sue Grafton that did A is for Alibi, and she went from A to Z. I'm doing the Z to A.
What? That sounds like something you would do. Do A.
But this is
Wow.
about the jinn, D-J-I-N-N, and the jinn actually is crossing over into the paranormal investigation realm. They're thinking that the jinn is responsible for a lot of activity, paranormal activity that's going on. So I've been doing a lot of research on the jinn, and I thought, I can do something with this. I can write a story about this. But the powers that they possess are so unique that the only place I could think of putting them was in an erotica.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I didn't want my grandchildren to pull up my name.
I had read that too.
I see that, so I'm doing it under R.H. Masters.
Well, then again, too, your grandchildren, and I know you're very close to them, they already are aware that grandmother's special, and she writes special stories. And all. Do you tell stories to your little children and grandchildren? Do you make up stories, or do you tell them stories?
Every one of my girls, every one of my children and grandchildren have their own story that I made up. The magic cherry tree, the princess in the tub, all of them have their own
I read that
story.
somewhere. I don't remember it. I didn't see it today when I was looking at your web, but I did read that somewhere before that you did. I thought that was so unique. Will they be published one day, those little stories that you created for each of them, or printed or anything?
They've asked me to, if I would write them down, and I said, well, you should. It affected you.
Good
and
idea.
So you should write it from how it made you feel. Write it from that perspective.
Okay, so you're going to have 26 books in this series.
Yes.
How many have you started on this series?
Oh,
or had-
Z-Spot is my first. That's in the middle of that one right now.
Okay.
Actually, Voices, Toe-to-Toe, Z-Spot, and I'm working on a fourth, which we don't have the cover for Harlequin, called The Hunger.
Oh, yeah.
It's a trilogy called the Grimoire Trilogy. I don't have the cover because they do the art.
Well, I think you've put enough up there to where people at least know. Check out that webpage, guys, and you'll find out everything she's going on. That's why I printed out everything I could if there's anything new, and there's a whole lot. So, and I'm sure every day. How long does it usually take for you to really start a book and finish a book all the way to publication?
I can finish a book in 30 days.
I'll believe it. I'll believe it.
But I use a program called Dragon,
Okay.
naturally speaking. So speaking out, I can imagine you're sitting there and I'm telling you a story.
Right.
So when I'm speaking into Dragon, I usually do it with my eyes closed because my books are written, each chapter is a scene.
Oh, right.
And depending on the point of view, it is irrelevant to me because it's like I'm telling Sudi a story.
There you go. There you go.
So
Okay.
Dragon is able to dictate it while I speak, and then I have to go through the editing process. after
Isn't that amazing? Technology is helping get these stories out. Deborah, there's so many wonderful, as you know, authors that have wonderful stories in different genres that I just, when I hear a good story, I don't want them to lose it. No excuse if you don't write. Look at this audio, a type of technology. It's amazing. I'm so glad. I mean, people are going around now with the older people who are passing away and trying to get their stories in their own voices, which is awesome too. Then we have a 90-something-year-old lady that joined the Writers Guild, and we encouraged her. She's such an inspiration, and Kate Redford, believe it or not, and she is such an inspiration when she is able to come, and she herself is typing her memoirs, and then she found out about the audio thing, and all these war veterans that we want in our families to be remembered, you know, while they're still alive. Now's the time to do it. Somebody ought to do it. Technology says, hey, we got the right thing for you these days.
That's
so,
true.
but I was excited to hear that they had that, and I'm so glad because it just makes you able to crank out those books faster.
It makes you,
Isn't that amazing?
you're able to crank them out, and I'm also doing my backlist in MP3
Okay.
downloadable, so.
Well, you are a real, what I call, author. You are a real creative author, and you do and can do many genres, but you stick to mainly this one because that is just normal. It's just natural, comes natural.
Yes.
Storytelling, suspense, rough edges if you need to be on the rough edges,
Yep.
and this mystery of all of it. Okay, well, let's go on to the next picture, and we're going to see what brings up the topic in that. And what is this?
This is going to be a new television program called Through the Veil. It all happened quite by accident. I met a gentleman through a paranormal investigation group. I hadn't spoken, we did an investigation together, and I hadn't spoken to him in 3 or 4 years. And he contacted me one day and said, we're looking to put together a television program. At first it was supposed to be local, you know, just
Okay.
a Louisiana broadcast.
Oh, okay.
And we're looking for a show's medium. I said, I'm not a medium.
There's that
And
word
he
again.
said, I know what you do. Whatever you want to call it, we need you. So I said, okay, let me see what this is about, because I respect the dead. You know, when I do paranormal investigations, I don't believe in Ouija boards or any of some of these hokey methods that they use. There's a lot of respect, and I have a very strong faith in God, and I'm not going to cross any lines. So if you're going to powder it up, make it up, I'm out of there.
There you go.
So I got involved with these guys. They were all straight shooters, very serious about what they did, and we just found out that we're being handed off from this little producer in New Orleans to a major producer in California. So we could be looking at either the Sci-Fi Channel or Discovery Channel, where Through the Veil will be broadcasted.
That is amazing because I've been telling people about it and didn't know if it had aired yet, and so it's still in the process.
We have to shoot a certain number of shows before it starts. They need
Okay.
8 in the bank, so they
Uh-huh.
start
There you
shooting
go.
them
Right,
every
right.
week.
Well, it sounds like it takes time, but it's so worth the wait when you have something done right, you know. Deborah, okay, when you talk about the investigation part, is there anything that you can share as far as not really details, but actually why you're called in? By any chance? I'm saying, like, what do you do? Where do you go? When you don't have to go into detail because I understand, you know, all of that. For example, I was asked, what do you do, Miss Sudi? Well, if I see something around you, I'm going to pray for you, but you're not going to know about it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Or a friend will say, do you feel that? And if I feel something, definitely I will say, yeah, but I don't go in what you call sensationalize it, because I'm like
Right.
you. There's so many, and I loved in one part you said you are no fake. One time I was approached and said, no, I'm not a fake and I'm not a flake. I will tell you though, these things are real. Not everybody is going to be able to experience these things, and for something, if you don't experience, a lot of people don't believe it. So when I began to really read more about you, I love what you just said. Anyone knows me used to call me a Jesus fanatic, okay? Because I used to tell my stories saying they were Jesus stories, so that people would not invite me to be clairvoyant, psychic, ESP as guest speakers, and they did anyway. But with you, I love what you said. You say what you do. You make it clear what you're not going to be accepted as, what you don't do. In other words, okay, guys, this is who I am. This is what I do. In the investigations, what does it take for you to be pulled in? Why do they call you? Is it just to get a confirmation of something they already know? For people who don't know anything about the responsibilities of why forensic specialists are brought in, is it to give extra details? It's not a secret. I'm not trying to pull a secret out of you. I don't know what you do in that area. I want to know.
Actually, through the veil, the way through the veil works is they won't give me any detail about,
That's
they'll
right.
give me the address and show up here on this day.
Okay, good.
And then they'll do a shoot of me doing a walkthrough through the place.
Okay.
I can't walk through it with the whole camera. The camera crew will follow me, but not the rest of the investigation team.
Right.
Because too much energy around me and I can't pick up. And really, that's all it is. It's picking up energies. I don't see physical manifestations.
Right, right.
A lot of what I do pick up, oddly enough.
That's with the technical machine work that you were part of, right? Is the machines and the
Actually, the first part of it goes through my head.
First.
I don't touch a piece of machinery.
I wanted to clear that up. I'm trying not to put words out there. I'm trying to let you say who you are, because I know you have it's not what everybody thinks. It really isn't.
I didn't want the crew to label me as a medium, because I'm not Long Island medium.
Right, right.
I didn't want them to label me as a psychic, because then everybody wants you to do a reading on them, and it doesn't work that way.
Right. True. Okay. Well, that's really what I wanted you to say again. We have 3 minutes left in the show, so let's go ahead and show that crew
Yes.
picture that you're working in, and then we're going to be recapping
That's
some stuff.
Through the Veil crew.
Okay, and that's the guys that said, I want you.
That's right.
All right, and it's going to be, and again, tell them about the television show that's being worked on and soon to be aired in the future. And that would be Through the Veil, right?
Through the Veil.
And the good news is what you shared earlier is that your love for writing these stories and your experience in the areas that you've been in, it's just due time that you have basically been discovered from one little thing. It's just perfect timing. Well, I want to definitely, before it gets to the end of the show, I want to definitely give you the opportunity. If there's anything that you would like to share as the rolling credits are rolling right now, is there anything that you would like to send out there to anybody who may be interested, the kind of people that would be interested in your show? Or would you want to encourage somebody who's writing this, maybe, type of genre? Is there anything you'd like to say to the public?
Just to remember to stay true to yourself. Stay true to what, don't sensationalize it. If you're looking to get involved with the paranormal, do it with people who know what they're doing, and not people who will label everything demonic, because it's not. Stay true to your faith, stay strong and next to God, because without Him, you could fall into the wrong hands in the wrong place.
And thank you for saying that, because that's exactly the truth. So tune in every Monday night at 9 p.m. It just might be you or Deborah or another series on Deborah that we'll be featuring. Until then, be blessed.